From the most recent patch, up until the next one arrives, hopefully with good news, times for Warrior are going to be relatively rough. Both newest weapons Warrior received are currently dumpster diving in search of the purpose of their existence, as they became hard to justify running even on Spellbreaker. And with the Warrior main population versus modes dropping back down only to stubborn Warrior Puritans such as myself, the question arises: what the hell do we play now? Sure, Spellbreaker is not completely dead, but reverting back to pre-staff era builds to fight current meta takes a fair bit of masochism. Bladesworn with Unshakable Mountain could have been the answer if only arena nerds didn't make him as clunky to pilot as a flying tractor with inverted controls and with a piss dozen of ball bearings thrown inside the guts of its gearbox just for shits and giggles. Nope, not desperate enough to play that. However, there's still something just stupid enough to defy all odds, while also being relatively untouched by recent slew of nerfs. Power Berserker just happens to be equipped with just the tools he needs to outstupid the current meta. If you also want to outstupid the current meta, consider visiting the Bullshit Brigade's Discord server where we push the boundaries of stupidity further than ever before, and consider joining my Patreon to financially support our grand quest to regain the primordial stupid. But without further delay, here's the build in question. Nothing extremely innovative, the old song and dance of Berserker Amulet, Relic of Centaur, or Astral Ward depending on matchup, Rune of Scholar, Sigils of Revocation and Exploitation or Purging and Cleansing in both weapon sets, also depending on matchup, and to top it off, the tried and proven combo of Blood Reckoning, Balanced Stance, as well as Signets of Fury, Might and Rage. Weapons we use are swords, one two-handed, two one-handed. Trait-wise we run Arms 2-3-1, Strength 2-1-1 and Berserker 1-1-1 for the highest possible damage output we can achieve. Now a little bit about the inner workings that make the build shine. First, that little depending on matchup part. Basically means if you are facing a big condition threat, Relic of Astral Ward and Cleansing Sigils work to alleviate your weakness against condition damage. If you can recognize condition threats on the enemy team and are not sure you can avoid taking smack from them, Cleanse it is. Otherwise, stability and wound removal simply gives you more consistency in every other situation. You may notice that this is practically the same thing we run with Rifle or Spear for the past 3 months and may be slightly puzzled at the glaring obvious lack of ranged weapons in this setup. A true enlightenment of the Berserker main, however, comes from realization that your spec performs noticeably better if you completely abandon the temptation of ranged weapons. You see, with so many popular builds nowadays having instant ports or invisibility to cover their approach, you'll end up almost exclusively in close quarters situations as a whole lot of thieves, willies, mesmers and other omnipresent crap sees Berserker as a free kill. With 3 swords, however, not only you aren't food for the picking, but can exploit your opponent's expectations of an easy fight to send them directly to Grenth on a golden platter. Many of your enemies will expect you to kite away or panic dodge, while your best option in most situations is popping your Balanced Stance, Signets and Rage and shish kebabbing whoever dared to jump you. Of course, the word most being a key word here, as you often have to hug the opposite side of a wall in relation to your target, or kite and wait for cooldowns, or in general utilize terrain as a shield to give yourself an advantage. But if you have resources at the ready and aren't out in the open staring down a sniper, you're good to test luck on both sides of the engagement. Just remember that your damage output might be enough to 2-tap entire enemy team, but in turn most of enemy team can 2-tap you, so position accordingly. You don't really want to be the first to engage into a teamfight, but you don't want to visibly hang back either, as that signifies fear, and fear paints you as a target. Try to always be one savage leap away from whoever's first standing on the node, and do not hang back from the fight. As soon as someone pays attention to anything that isn't you, it's your time to strike. You have 2 bursts in a combo and everyone on enemy team has 2 dodges. As soon as someone dodges something that isn't your best, that's your time to give them a reason to dodge again. And to do that, you don't necessarily have to throw yourself in there. Impale into Flaming Flurry is usually enough damage to make somebody panic, and depending on what rest of the morons on both teams are doing, you either go finish that kill or go after someone with less survival instincts. Like with any Berserker build in teamfights, you want to fish for opportunities, and make that opportunities into as many bodies hitting the floor as possible. Teamfights are somewhat simple for Berserker, as main thing you want to do is just get in rage and slap arc dividers across the enemy team. Or if you don't feel like taking the risk, throw Impale and Flaming Flurries at people from distance and camp swords for easy access to riposte in case you need it, until you gather courage to risk it for the biscuit, or until the opportunity arises to smack someone across the face without burning every cooldown you have just to get to them. Remember, if enemy doesn't have the high ground on you and you can get to them with one dash, that's already an opportunity you can take. However, it is in single combat, that's both secluded 1v1s as well as in situations where enemy doesn't have to pay attention to your teammates, the game starts to be a little more complicated for Berserker. You have a lot of shit to throw at your foe, that's true, but that doesn't mean you can play on autopilot and just drop the same combo every groging time. Contrary to popular belief, your enemies also have brains, and no spec makes it more noticeable than Berserker. I had several games where I noticed that with each engagement, my enemies are plain and simple playing better after 1 or 2 one-shots they ate, and that I have to adjust my strategy. Think of it this way, you have 2 unblockable arc dividers, but all of your enemies have 2 dodges, or more. You got to do more than just spam arc divider to succeed. Consider mixing up your offense, throw in a rush in between your arc dividers, swap to swords and throw in Flaming Flurry, followed by sword 2 and 3, try delaying inputs or just rolling at them, thanks to strength that also does damage. In short, don't stick to any patterns. Keep your enemies guessing what you're going to throw at them next. And with your Reap, your Final Thrust, all 4 versions of your burst skill, and your Rush, all being able to clock in 4-digit numbers starting with 8, you do have stuff to throw. That combined with decent access to resistance means you're generally a threat even in 1v1s against what could be considered your direct counters. In short, this build turns every matchup into skill-based matchup, by removing all the spammy horse shit from the equation. You simply run up to people with simple yet complex question.
Do you know how to dodge?
A special sign of gratitude to generous Patreon supporters who continue to consider my dubious quality garbage content worth their precious money. You're all truly welcome. With everything out of the way, Crabface out.